6.1.1 is live, and it's a game changer, for Conquest at least. We've got our resident Conquest leader and expert B. Kavanaugh on to walk us through it. That and more coming up on this episode of the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 336. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
It's going really well, and I'm super glad that we have BC with us today because he is really the guiding force behind how we do conquest in the guild, and we rely on him for making decisions like which planet and how much, and he keeps track of how we were successful in the past, and he tells people what are good activities that you can do to make conquest. So we have this really good resource with us tonight.
Should be good.
And in terms of my own game time, I've done all the normal stuff, which I always talk about, MFN and our ops team and everything, which ended a little bit early, by the way, because there was some kind of Discord event and like half our team got knocked out of Discord and couldn't get back in. So since we were trying veteran mode stuff, and it was like 10 minutes until the end at that point anyway, we called it early because, voice coordination, even if it's not necessary, it is part of what makes it fun. So we need that voice. Anyway, so yeah, did that, and I played a little bit on my new Scoundrel with the double XP. I brought her to part of MFN on Tuesday, but she was like level 2, so not a lot she could do. And I did some class story today, and boy, I'd forgotten what what's the correct word that I can say? Really terrible person Skavik is.
Yeah.
He stole my ship, man.
Yeah. The heck, man. the heck
What's
do you
up
mean?
with that? So I'm going to chase him down, get my ship back.
You should.
So
you should shoot him in the face.
And I was going to on this character, I was going to eschew the class quest, and I was going to do get XP from like all the planetary arc storylines, but now I want to do the class story. So that's probably what I'll end up doing on this character, because. So anyway, what's up with you, Max? Or should we talk to BC next?
I think, yeah. Why don't we go to BC? Welcome, BC. Welcome, B. Kavanaugh. How are you doing, and what have you been up to?
Hey Max, hey Seema, thanks for having me. I have been getting a bunch of tunes to Conquest Goal because it only takes me 15 minutes to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
It felt a little bit like I was in one of those Oprah memes, like you get points and you get points and you get points. Everybody gets points. So that was an unexpected boon this week. And then also spent a little bit of time brainstorming with the crew in Discord about what we should be doing for our fun nights every Tuesday night. Because with the new Conquest meta, we might change things up a little bit. So
yeah,
looking forward to seeing how we change things up a little.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more in our segment, of course. But yeah, it does, not in terrible ways, but it certainly impacts the way we play, especially the way those rampages are changed. When it takes like 5 minutes to do a rampage and there's 30 rampages, and we spend more time traveling from planet to planet than we do rampaging, it makes for a kind of a weird night. So we might have to do something different. Well, thank you. As I said, thanks for coming on the show. We'll talk about it more when we get to the segment. But BC not only runs our Conquest, runs our Tuesday night MFN events. That's sort of the agenda of what we're going to do. But is a master of Conquest and is a master for the community. So we'll talk about this spreadsheet he's managed in the past and what might happen to that as well. I've been doing a little bit of min-maxing on my gear. Should we have a little stat talk? Stat talk. Here we go. It's not fully min-maxed, and I've got room to improve. In fact, I've got augments, the highest end crit augments in not all of my pieces, but most. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 of 14 augments are the top level augments. No, 10. 10 of 14. I guess my 2 implants don't have any augments just yet. But I did, so that's just going to be extra crit though. I got my accuracy to within 9 of the targets. What it's like, whatever it's supposed to be. I'm 9 over, and then alacrity is 12, 13. I'm at 12, 17, so only 4 over. So I'm close to even perfect numbers on those. All of my amplifiers are blue or purple of the one I want. And here's like periodic intensity. I guess I'm only green on my amp champ. I even switched my helmet out to get amplified champion on the helmet instead of the boots that I had. So I was trying to tweak everything up because we are starting on hard mode Duxon, which we did our first pull on tonight. But then Discord crashed and everybody dumped out a voice and we wiped. But we'll be working on hard mode Duxon next few weeks, I'm sure, which is kind of cool. So I did a bunch of that. I also, because I was like re-rolling amplifiers and making augments, I decided to make some credits as well. You know, you start re-rolling those amplifiers and you go through credits fast.
You start to feel the loss.
Yeah. I mean, millions. You'll drop millions of credits per character where you start to roll amplifiers. And I was rolling amplifiers not only on my mercenary but on my vanguard on the tank, my tank set as well. So I made probably 50 million credits just to give myself a little bit more of a margin. Can't drop out of that Tres Comas club. I would cry myself to sleep if that happened. So gotta, 1 billion is now the floor. So I have to have enough above that to buy and what I want and do what I need to do and pay my repair bills.
At least I'm not a slave to that.
Or my swoop bike will have doors that open like this instead of doors that open like this. That's a Silicon Valley reference. So that's what I've been doing. Oh, and of course Conquest. So I think I've got like 4 characters now that
for sure.
I sneezed and got some Conquest points and got a character to target. And tonight,
Wait, you sneezed?
yeah, that's one. If you sneeze, if you blink like 3 times really fast, get Conquest points. When you inhale, I think it's at 1K, and an exhale is another 500 Conquest points. So yeah, I got a lot of Conquest points and a bunch of characters so far. That is what I've been doing. Let's go ahead and check in on the news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
First up in the news, I figured we could talk about the continued publishing by the community team, which I think now goes beyond Daniel and Eric, of course, to our new members. There's a lot of focus on bugs and ensuring that they're communicating, at least in a good way, that they're continuing to look at bugs. I'm only going to talk about one particular bug at the end of this, after we talk about a couple other news items. But any kind of bug that has been bugging you, post on it on the forums and take a look in the dev tracker. They may be talking about it. Stuff in the strongholds, stuff with particular abilities, bunch of stuff. So check it out. That's nice.
Also, Charles Boyd had mentioned earlier that there's an event coming that's going to be like swoop bike themed type of event. And Dan posted this week that it's expected to hit the PTS, not in the immediate time frame, but also not, the capital R, capital S, capital N time frame either. So we should look for that.
That should be interesting. I'm interested to hear. It hitting the PTS will be fun because then we'll get a preview and maybe even provide some feedback. I know they're in theory they're still working on it then if they're going to have it on the PTS. Master mode, nature of progress operation, that is hitting the PTS in the very near term, and that's one that you can jump on and provide feedback on. In particular, there's a big thread up. I believe Dan posted the thread, but this has to be notes from Matt about all of the details. It's not coming up. There we go. All of the details of what they've tuned, the additions to the fight, and the differences that they've got in, because they're still tweaking it. I'm sure Matt's still doing some work. Check in on that. If you're a master mode team, get in there on the PTS. We need you. We need you there on the front line testing this stuff, and telling Matt he's insane for doing whatever he's doing. So please do that, so that any of us normal people, that if we ever do get to master mode, can maybe actually complete a fight someday. What else?
Okay, there's a few things added to the cartel market, one of which I bought already.
Did you? Oh, that's
the
right, you
cyber-
did.
Yeah. The Cyber Agent armor set, the Covert Stalker mount, and Valence Lightsaber. And it was the Covert Stalker mount that I bought. So I don't have it on this character yet, so I can't
Well, here I've got a
flaunt
picture of
it.
it showing up on the screen.
But I really like it, and I like the Control Z effect.
The animation, yeah, the little flourish.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, the flourish.
That is pretty cool. So what is it? Valence lightsaber? Whose lightsaber? Wait, Valen. Yeah, Valence
Valen,
lightsaber
yeah.
is now available. Looks kind of normal. Does it have any effect on it? I like the lightsabers that have an effect. Oh, there's like a new little turtley mount or turtley pet. Did you see this new little turtle? It's like a spiky shell turtle.
I like turtles.
I know. I know that. So there's a new turtle pet you're going to have to get, apparently.
I am going to have to get it. Turtle.
I don't think it's called a turtle. It's called a
No, it
juvenile zakeg. So check it out, Seema. And then the one issue I did want to bring up and talk about is bounty hunting event. Part of what happened when they were bringing up the patch and putting things into play. I think they what is the normal progression of regression testing. I think they changed some text in the German language version of the warrior class, so that of course broke the bounty hunting event.
Yeah, right.
That's the way their chain of code works for some reason.
I have my new turtle now.
Oh, the new one from this.
Yes.
You already bought it. Oh, there it
Yeah.
is. Seema's got it right there. There he is, little spiky shell little turtle dude. Yeah. There we go. But anyway, the bounty hunting event is broken. It is not only broken, but it's unfortunate because this is a bounty hunting week and there's bounty hunting conquest objectives, and none of that's going to work. And in fact, they said specifically, we recommend you do not do anything with the bounty hunting event, because any progress you make may very well be wiped completely, and they would feel bad, and you would be mad. So they said, yeah, we'd recommend that you not continue participating in the event until a fix has been implemented. We're very sorry for the inconvenience. So beware. And
It is what it is.
if you want to hunt bounties for fun, you can do that. If you want to really want to hunt bounties, you can come after me, and let's do this. Guild and community news, little bit of a left turn, but with some connections back to the Star Wars community as well. It is the 13th anniversary of Lord of the Rings Online. I have had an account for 12 years, not 13. I must not have done it at launch. So I logged in. I don't play all that often, but I do play a little bit. Got my 12-year box. There's an anniversary event, and our connection to our content creator community is Fibro Jedi, a really awesome blogger in the SWTOR content creator community. Also does some blog posts on his Fibro Jedi website, which you can search for, on Lord of the Rings Online. And he does these great guides for the events when they happen. He has a guide up right now for the anniversary event. So Fibro Jedi, check out his site for all the Star Wars stuff. If you're into Lord of the Rings Online as well, check that out. Check out his site for those guides. And then AIE, our guild, has a little division that with a handful of people that are focused on Lord of the Rings Online. And this weekend, Saturday the 25th is our every Saturday night is a like a fun night for Lord of the Rings. It's called SNL, Saturday Night Lotro. This week though is extra
I love
special.
that.
This week is extra special. It's going to be PvMP. So the way PvP works in Lotro is you don't fight against other players unless one of the players is a monster. You know, an orc or a warg or a spider.
Oh, I thought you meant just a conventional, like Max is a monster.
Well, I am a monster, but I also have to roll a specific monster character. Apparently, they can't just
A
come and attack
warg.
me. And I've rolled a warg, so we're gonna do a relatively noob level, and you can do this with a free-to-play account. You have to have a character to level 10, but you can do that completely free, and then you can roll a monster character. And it's a couple different kinds of orcs, or the spiders, or the. I think if you're going to go free, you only get one to choose from. If you've got a VIP account, which is a subscriber, you get a bunch to choose from. I've got a stealthy warg that is now running around that I've been just learning a little bit of PV monster player versus monster player stuff, and we're going to do it on Saturday night at 8 p.m. Central. Check our guild Discord if you want to jump in on that.
Yeah, I mean Lotro is a really cool game. It's been around for a while, as Max said, and it's has slightly, well, I mean the graphics are the graphics, right?
Right.
But
Older engine.
that game excels at setting an atmosphere. So if you actually just want to go live in Middle Earth, it's a pretty awesome experience. I visit over there every once in a while. I personally can only do so many MMOs because I get too balled up in them. But yes, I'd like to visit over there.
Yeah, if you ever wanted to actually visit Hobbiton and see the party tree, for PvMP, there's two zones. It's a special zone where the monsters sort of roam, and you can bring your character in there to fight monsters. It's at Mords is the main one, but they added a new one. It's Osgiliath. So if you remember that scene in Return of the King with the orcs, where they're on the one, Osgiliath is the city outside Minas Tirith, with that split by the river, and the orcs were on one side, and the Aragorn or the good guys were on the other side, and that whole invasion, and the orcs take over Osgiliath. You get to go to Osgiliath, and you get to just like hang out there and walk around and fight. You could be orcs and hobbits and stuff, and if you kill the hobbits, sometimes you get to like keep their feet and turn them in for rewards. So get to do that too. Anyway, that's enough about Lord of the Rings Online. Anything you want to do to mention what's going on with our MFNs lately? Either SEMA or BC. Actually, why don't we turn it over to BC? Why don't you give an advert for our Tuesday MFNs and what you think we're going to be doing next week?
Yeah, next week we are going to go back to Ravages, which the week before last we cleared the first 4 bosses, took a look at the final fight, made it to the second room. So a small group of us will clear a few bosses, and then we'll help everyone finish off the rest of the operation, which is it's usually not enough time in 2 hours for us to finish an operation, especially when we have a bunch of people who often haven't seen them before. So that should be fun. There'll be probably a bunch of folks who haven't ever finished Ravages before. And we tend to mix it up. So next week in Operation, the week after that, maybe we'll kill some event bosses. I think in the past we've done ICAF PvP, where I was Tithe and people tried to kill me. And we finished the Macro Binoculars mission because you need 4 people for the final heroic. So yeah, we try to mix it up. The main thing is just having fun.
And we really appreciate the work you do on that, BC. So anyone who doesn't know, the Inside Baseball is within the officer group. We only add officers in our guild to sort of mostly to do jobs. I mean, to help out, to help run the guild, to do invites and that kind of things. But each of the officers, especially in Star Wars, has a specific job. BC runs not only conquest and how we're going to go after it, where we're going to pick large and medium targets, but then he coordinates with that and sets the agenda for our Tuesday night mandatory fun night. I usually jump in there and talk a lot and step on BC's fun planning, and I feel bad about that sometimes. But I really
not that
appreciate
bad.
by about Sunday night, BC in our officer chat is saying, hey, here's the options. What do you guys think? This is what I think we could do. And most of the time we're all just saying, that looks awesome. Let's go for that. So we've
Yes.
got a plan.
Yes.
And every week, like clockwork, BC's got it laid out for us. Here's what's going on with Conquest. Here's what we're going to do for MFN. It's never spur of the moment, and we really appreciate that. And as such, we wanted to bring him on. And so now let's get into our segment because the game has changed a little bit.
Game changer.
Game changer. Game changer?
Game changer for...
Game changer for the industry.
The game has changed mostly around Conquest. So 6.1.1 is now released. The biggest changes for us, for me, is Conquest in particular. We wanted it in particular, as we said, bring BC on because he's done not only the planning for our guild, what's going to be medium target, what's going to be large target, because we switch back and forth our focus from week to week from Imperial versus Republic. But BC has also been a valuable resource to the rest of the Star Wars community in the Conquest Spreadsheet that he's had available, which showed the rotation of events and what the Conquest targets and objectives were going to be from week to week to week, and also provided you the ability to say, hey, I want to make target on these, this 1, 2, 3, n number of characters. These are the one-time objectives and the repeatable objectives, and I'm going to just sort of lay it out and plan it out in this spreadsheet, which then allows you, or did in the past, allowed you to best plan how you were going to go about it. That has changed, hasn't it, BC? Well, so why don't you talk about that and talk about the state of the planning in the spreadsheet before we get into the rest of Conquest, but talk about sort of where that's at and if you're going to bother at this point to refresh the spreadsheet.
Yeah, the Conquest spreadsheet started out as a way to help individual players plan how to reach their goal. When it was a little bit harder to reach goal, you would often want to plan ahead, figure out the best way to play the game throughout the course of the week, just to make sure that you were able to hit goal on as many tunes as possible. And I created a spreadsheet for myself by pulling down some XML that someone put up online, wrote a Python script to scrape that, turn it into a spreadsheet, used a bunch of macros to create formulas. So you can just plug in a few things, your stronghold bonus, your guild bonus, how many tunes you're wanting to do Conquest on, and then you can plan out what activities will help you to hit your goal. I'll probably update that part of it just for completeness because it's helpful to have a list and because there's no search function on the currently very long list of Conquest objectives. So maybe people will use it as a way to search through that long list instead of trying to use the in-game interface. I think the most useful thing, though, will probably continue to be the calendar of Conquest weeks. So for people who don't know, the order isn't random. It's in the game files. The Conquest calendar at the moment has a long list of what all the future Conquest weeks will be for most of the rest of the year. So you can look ahead, know what weeks are coming up, and I think that's helpful for people as well, just knowing which weeks to expect.
Yeah, I think that, well, two things. I think that's really useful. The search, we'll talk about, and this is what we're getting into next, is what we think of the changes, the new system, how it's impacting us personally. The long list of objectives has pros and cons associated with it. One of the cons is there are so many objectives, and just trying to find, what objective is what. And okay, yeah. I did Tatooine Rampage 1. Where's Tatooine Rampage 2? Hold on, give me like 5 minutes to scroll through all these objectives and try to find it. so I can click on it and make it come up in my tracker. So I wanted to go around. Seema, I wanted your sort of overview opinion on where it stands in general, how it feels to you. I'll give my 2 cents, and then I think we're gonna all, between you and I, Seema, I think we're gonna pepper BC with a lot of questions about it from there forward.
Well, there's been a lot of dialogue about how easy it is and how you can make conquest, like BC said, in 15 minutes. I'm sort of undecided on whether I like that or not. So I do like cutting down on tediousness, but sometimes when you make things too easy, then it increases tediousness. So I'm kind of haven't decided yet. So in general, I like easy things being easy, but if they're too, like BC commented before, if they're too easy, then it just gets boring. So we'll see. I can't decide.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I've noticed is that it feels really easy. And what I'm most interested in is how is it feeling? And I think BC's done some research for us. How is it feeling for the people that maybe thought everything was way too hard in the past and they couldn't participate? It's super easy for me. The danger that I think we're potentially on the edge of is when things are too easy and, not even a challenge, barely an inconvenience, then it loses the interest of the people that were being challenged by it and felt a sense of accomplishment in doing it. And if I can sneeze and get to target on a character, am I just gonna get to target on a few characters accidentally and not really even pay attention anymore and just sort of drift away and not do conquest rather than the days where
leave it for Monday night because it only takes a few minutes.
Yeah, and if every guild now just picks large target, because even a guild of 3 people can hit large target for a guild, and we're never to the point where the whole guild we get to Saturday night and we're still a million points away from our large target and everybody's got to come together and we make our target or we miss it just by a little bit or whatever. That's an activity. That's everybody participating. And if we're all just at target, and tonight, this week we made large target in one day, the first night practically.
Right.
If we're never going to get to that point where we all need to come together again, that takes away. On the flip side, but if somebody tells me that for the greater community, this is going to pull a whole bunch more people in, and a lot more people are now going to be playing, and yes, it's a downside for you, but it's an upside for all of these people, I might be willing to be much more apt to go along with it and sort of suffer through the little bit of a diminishment of my own personal satisfaction for the greater good in that case.
And we've done that. We've been through that a couple times on guild activities that are no longer activities that we can do because for that very reason.
Right. We've kind of been through that in a lot of ways in the game. It's super easy to level. Companions are super powerful. And it's okay, but you still got to have a challenge. So when maybe at the end, we'll go around and talk about opportunities we see, suggestions we might have, because maybe we could, between us smart people, we could think of some suggestions we might throw out to BioWare. One other side thing before I turn it over to you, BC, I was showing here on the screen Sanctuary and Dark Sanctuary. So this is one guild that now they have at least 2 guilds. So this is Jedi Covenant. No, what's our server? Starforge.
Starforge.
This is Starforge. Sanctuary and Dark Sanctuary. That's the Conquest Guild. Everybody who wants to win planets puts a character in Sanctuary. Sanctuary always wins whatever the planet they set their sights on. They're kind of nice about it. They're in that they only choose to win 1 planet per week. They could win all 3 planets. Here, they've done 71 million points in their main guild and 67 million points in their second guild, and they're first and second on the large yield planet Tatooine. 71 million points, and we're, what, 2.5 days into the week. They're going to be over 100 million points on 2 guilds for, on two sub guilds of the Sanctuary coming out of this week. I just shake my head. Just SMH, man. SMH. Okay, so that's our sort of top level view. BC, what's your top level impressions? And then I think we're gonna drill down a little bit more and peel the onion with you a bit.
Yeah, the first thing I guess I should say is just that so far all of us are reacting to what we've seen for Deathmark Week. It's just one of the 16 Conquest weeks. And so we're all assuming that what we're seeing for this week is what we're going to keep seeing for the rest of the weeks.
That's a great
which
point.
is probably a relatively safe assumption because usually the weeks aren't that different. But in the past we have seen, I think last time they made a lot of significant Conquest changes, the first week just happened to be a week that was a little bit different to the other weeks and people jumped to conclusions. So probably just put that caveat out there that maybe next week when we see the objectives, we'll think a bit differently. But assuming
There
that
may not
everything-
be like 72 rampages next week, is what you're saying, for instance.
Yeah, or that some of these other objectives might not necessarily be there. So I guess we'll find out next week or when I get my hands on the full list of objectives whether this week is going to be representative of all of the rest of the weeks or whether things will be like this pretty much every week. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Probably helpful to reserve judgment, like Max has talked about, until we see what all of the weeks look like. But
no, we should rush to judgment and post our dissatisfaction based on all of these unknown assumptions in the forums immediately. I think that's the way you're supposed to do it.
In all capital letters.
Yes. Rage quit now, ask questions later.
Ask for compensation. I want to check for my subscription. But with that caveat, my TLDR is there's more options and the bar's lower, which means that it's more accessible for casual and solo players and small guilds. But it also means they probably need to do more to keep diehard players like everyone listening to this podcast interested over time. And there's a few things that sort of roll up to that, which we can peel the onion a bit more, like you described, Max. There's more activities that award conquest points. There's more choice for each type of content. There's more conquest points for the same level of effort. And so that sort of leads to the situation where it's more accessible for people who don't play as often, but over time they probably need to do more to keep the rest of us interested.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a good breakdown, and I think we all agree so far, as you said. And I think I'm willing to give it a couple weeks, see what the kind of objectives shake out as for other weeks. It wasn't, and this was how it worked in the past. Some weeks were quite easy for our guild to make a large target. Some weeks were a challenge because of the objectives that were given. The objectives that are available now. So two things. We should remind people that they did a couple things. They added a whole bunch more objectives, and some are just sort of weird, seemingly trivial things like, what do you get, like 5,000 conquest points for sending your companion to sell junk out of your inventory once a day? It seems a little ridiculous to me, but I get it. There's a bunch of things. The other thing they did is they tiered the rewards and tuned some of the objectives so that starting at level 10, new players who may just be new to the game can still feel a sense of accomplishment, can be participating in Conquest, and in theory be getting rewards that are commensurate with their level. They took out in particular solid resource matrix from the lower tiers. The speculation is because the the newer players wouldn't, in theory, have much use for those. I think everyone would, even if I don't know what this is. I could take a look on the GTN and realize that they could get me a lot of credits that might carry me through repair bills for a little while. But it's I've said leading up to this in the weeks, I've had a couple rants that I thought it was silly making these tiers for the lower levels. Again, if they could, if they could convince me that this is going to do a lot to pull in those people that are lower level or are new to the game, then great. So that's one thing they did. The other thing they did, which I kind of like, is they changed the notification. What do you guys think of that? The new notification that comes up at the top of the screen when you reach a conquest objective is sort of like the new little tooltip that comes up and blocks out the screen. And whatever you're doing, what did we hear from Thon earlier in the Ops Night? He said he crashed into an asteroid in GSF because he hit a conquest target and it like blocked out his view and made him crash his ship. I like it though.
I like the concept of it. I think it's going to make a level 10 character, like if you're a brand new player or even not brand new, but you've never really known about Conquest because you just were in your own little world, as opposed to like a guild world, which is a fine way to play. It kind of pops up in your face and you're like, oh, this is giving me points for something. And then you maybe would look into it, and then you as a player would have another dimension to your gameplay. So I think it's good.
I just noticed, I just checked the interface editor, and I do not see a customizable interface editor movable window for that conquest message, unless it's the system messages. But I don't think that's where it comes up. I thought it was higher in the window.
I don't know. It might be like, it could be social notification. I don't know.
I'm going to move system messages.
Next time I get one, I'll check.
I'll actually test it right now. Do I want to save changes? Yes, of course I want to save changes. Save. Okay. So I'll test it now. Yeah. So more things for lower levels, more things for everybody, more everything, more points for you, as you should say. I thought of the same thing. I thought of the Oprah thing as well, BC, that you used in your intro. I was even trying to think of a way to name the podcast something like that. You get points and you get points, or listening to this podcast, that's 10,000 points. Good job. What was the craziest objective that you saw that you think is kind of maybe even a little bit weird that we shouldn't have?
Selling junk. Most of them I can see. Like, it's a bit silly that you get conquest points for doing 5 decorations in your stronghold, but I can at least see that's trying to create an incentive for people to use this content, engage with this content that's there and perhaps not that many people are engaging with. But the selling junk, that just seems silly.
Vision them like in a room with like a whiteboard, and they're like going, what's the least used thing in the game? And someone's like, sending your companion out to sell junk.
I didn't even pick up junk.
Let's do that. Let's raise awareness of that ability.
I guess. I can't pick up this junk. I'm trying to get some junk to sell it. Yeah, there's that one. There's a couple things like is it social level, like legacy level? Increase the legacy level? What about all of us that
Well, we deserve compensation because we cannot get that one.
Yes. I know Eric Musco will never get to legacy level 50.
He doesn't realize that we did already.
No, see there, I don't know why I got a personal, I think I just did a rampage on Hutta. But no, it shows up, it's not a customizable user interface window, so they're going to have to add that into the user interface customization.
Oh, yeah, they should. They should get that intern back.
Oh, yeah, chat room says taking a taxi ride. For lower level characters, you could just get on a taxi ride on any planet and take a taxi ride, and you get conquest.
Is that
points
repeatable,
for that.
by the way, or is that just once per character forever?
chat room,
'Cause
let us know. Is that repeatable, or is that once a week, or infinitely repeatable, or once a day? That's weird.
They should make that one infinitely repeatable just for fun. Then someone could
Yeah.
podcast for an hour of just taking a taxi around the whole
just
time.
just riding around. More and more. Every one of their characters logging into more characters, just riding around.
It'd be more interesting than like muckabout videos.
Now we also know, and BC, what is your sort of viewpoint on this? Killing mobs gave you a significant number of conquest points in general in the past. That's been decreased significantly, right? I didn't do the math or check it out myself, but isn't just general killing of mobs now decreased in effectiveness?
The opposite. So, say you wanted to kill 300 enemies. If you did that for Deathmark Week before these conquest changes, and you do it now, the first time you did it, you would earn 6 times more points
Whoa.
after these changes. And
Well, is that
then
because
every
of Galactic
subsequent time,
Conquest, or so say 190? Don't say 300, because then you could be counting in Galactic Rampage. So say you're going to kill
yeah.
100
So
mobs
for
and it's
this,
not a
all the
rampage planet.
subsequent, yeah, all the subsequent times is 3.5 times more points.
Really? Okay.
So
I thought
you're
that was
not
supposed to
counting
be
that
less.
35k objective. Just once you've already knocked that out, it's still 3.5 times more points because it's only 25 and 50. Whereas before you had to do 50, then 100, then 150.
Okay. So including rampages. What about not including rampages? Say just whatever, killing random trash mobs in an operation. That's less. That's less, right? Per mob.
Yeah, that's less
Okay.
because the conversion from RXP to conquest points is less
Okay.
than it was before.
So that bit did change one thing I know, which was things like the Karagas Palace farming that was going on, which was, we're going to take a bunch of people in, we're going to just kill all the trash mobs before the Rancor in Karagas Palace, then we're going to reset, we're going to go back out, and we're going to do it again, and we're going to get conquest that way, just by killing those champion mobs over and over and over. In theory, there's still other mobs that you can farm that get you a lot of conquest points relatively quickly, but nerfing, increasing the importance or the relative number of points you get from objectives versus just killing random mobs does change that mix to some degree. I think that's a positive outcome. Creating a situation where mindless farming of something is the best way to go about achieving anything in the game, I think is terrible. So I'm glad that that's de-emphasized. There may still always be some grindy niche thing that gives you 0.1% more per hour of conquest points, but as long as that is not, it's not like twice as many conquest points per hour, I think that's appropriate. And is that what you're seeing? Is that what you're thinking of seeing as well, BC?
Yeah, people in the Allies channel seem to be queuing for operations a lot more and trying to do the easy solo ones like Tomorrow's Courtyard. Because that's a quicker way. There's conquest points for completing any operation. So complete a single boss operation, go through those.
Well, then good.
So it'll change what people focus on. I think the best outcome of awarding more points for the same level of effort is just it makes it easier for people who didn't used to participate in Conquest because they don't have their stronghold bonus and they don't have a guild bonus. So you talked earlier in the episode about, I chatted to someone, friend of mine, who literally has one character, doesn't have a stronghold bonus, and for him, Conquest was never something that he participated in. It wasn't easy to reach goal. It wasn't on his radar, and that's just because he would literally, like, if it was Deathmark Week, for example, he would literally have to complete a bounty and a heroic and make sure he got at least 80 kills every single day of the week in order to reach Conquest goal, which is not a fun experience. Whereas now, he could just do that for 3 days and hit Conquest goal. Or he could do it for 2 days and do some other things like sell junk using his companion, harvest 10 nodes and things like that. So the flip side, we're all making fun of the fact that there's all of these extra objectives and we're getting points so easily. The flip side is if you're a more casual player, then Conquest becomes accessible to you. So it's a bit silly that you can get points for selling junk, but it's kind of cool that they're encouraging people to play all of the bonus series again and the space missions. Like
Yeah.
there was
Right.
all this chatter in Discord earlier this week because people were playing space missions for the first time in years. So yeah, there's sort of two sides to the coin. I like the fact that it's encouraging people to play that variety of content, that it's making it more accessible for other people.
Yeah, that's really interesting to hear. So I even when I brought up my conquest window and I'm looking at this and seeing all the points I got and blah blah blah, even just this little bit right here that I see in my interface where it says stronghold bonus 150%. Most players, especially new players to the game, but even most average casual players are not going to have that. So it is a different experience, and getting more people able to hit their target on a character, that's kind of cool. So yeah, it's really interesting to hear, as you said, if you talk to a player in particular that is more casual and is feeling it now that this is something that they can be a part of. That's great. And then I don't know. I just wish, and we always wish this. This is something we say over and over and over again. Write that blog post, BioWare. Keith, Charles, write that blog post that says, here's the numbers that we saw. Here's the effect we were trying to achieve. This is the players that we were going at, and we know that you top players are at this XYZ level, but there's like, five, 1,000,000 players out there, or whatever it is, 500,000 people who don't get to hit Conquest who now can. Isn't that cool?
Right. And also it explains to us why if we say our feedback is the following and they don't act on it, it's because we weren't the target for that change.
Right. Which is fine. And then if they explained it, and we bought their explanation, which I give them the benefit of the doubt anytime they put some effort into explaining something.
Yeah.
Then great. I would be happy with it. Other people, the forums may still be a shit show, as the case may be, but I would be happy with it. So that's cool. So let's talk about the flip side. As diehard players, the idea that this is now too easy, and it's too easy for the guild to make the target, it's too easy for me to make my personal target, and that diminishes even what's interesting to me. That doesn't feel great. So what are your ideas? We'll do BC, then we'll do SEMA. What are your ideas? What are your thoughts on that? And what are your ideas maybe to get around that, or to change that so it's not diminished, or I don't know. I mean, what do you think? What do you think, BC?
Yeah, I like the fact that they've made Conquest more accessible, and I don't want that to go away. I think that's great for more casual players. So what I'd like to see is something that's, I guess, a little bit like having different difficulty levels for operations, so that if people are just casual and want to participate in Conquest a little bit like it is now, then there's a lot of different activities they can choose from that will grant them a lot of points and make it realistic for them to participate and hit goal each week if that's what they want to do. At the same time, have something more challenging for people who are more diehard and are wanting to spend more time. There's a system that has tiered rewards in Diablo 3 for each of the seasons that they have that immediately sprung to mind for me, where there's a bunch of different tiers. There's at least 8, it might be 10 different tiers, and the objectives get harder and harder and harder, and the rewards also become more appealing as you complete each of the tiers. And I like that kind of system where if you're just casual in Diablo 3 and your goal for the 3 months of the season or however long it lasts is just that you sort of want to complete the story and do a few of the other objectives, and you're just sort of playing a couple times a week, then you can do that and you get a set of gear and great, you had a great season. But if you're more dedicated, then you can really work at it and get a bunch of other rewards and be able and have a cool flair and be able to say, look at me, I got Slayer or Champion or whatever tier it is. They have a similar kind of thing in PvP in SWTOR, where you get different levels of rewards and the rewards are a little bit better. So something like that, I think, would be a nice way of retaining the things that are great that they've changed, making it more accessible for people who are more casual, and then adding that other tier of rewards for people who are more diehard to go after will keep it interesting for you, me, and others who want to spend a bit more time.
What do you think of that, Seema? Are you in that camp too of sort of like that tiered idea?
Well, like I said earlier, I'm kind of waiting because if there's a huge number of people that are new to the game, never ever participate in Conquest, which when you think of Conquest is it's really part of the whole end game picture, right? It's like stuff that you can do after you finish leveling. So if there's a whole untapped, like if there's a big population of players that come, play their class stories, and then quit, that might stay in the community if they were interested in Conquest, then I'm for however.
Yeah. Yeah. However, it
We,
continues to support that. Yeah.
yeah. But then we'll never know if that's the event, because that's the effect, because that's the kind of thing that they don't tell us. So, yeah, I don't know.
This idea of the tiered rewards, like if you kept the system as it is, but maybe, I kind of like this idea. Like, if I hit my target of 50K, say take everything you get here, the 25K credit certificate, I get 4 of those. I get 100 tech fragments, 4 solid resource matrix, and the gathering lockbox, which who cares about that? Take that and maybe cut it in half. And that's what I get at 50K. And then at 150K on that character, then I get this amount again. So I get like twice as much again for that character at the lower level. And then, so just on the personal level, then the players who now just get to participate and get to be part of Conquest now will be hitting personal target. That all is good. But then the more hardcore players can go for that 150 on each character and get more rewards and more, that higher tier. I think I kind of think that's interesting.
How about guild rewards? Like, would
That's
a
a good
guild
question.
that had more people getting the 150, would they get more guild rewards?
That's a good question. I don't know that, and in fact, I didn't think about that until you just mentioned that. I did want to bring up the fact that I think something has to happen with the guild rewards regardless, because right now, as I said, every guild now, no matter how small, is saying we should just all go large. Let's
Right,
all
that's
go
on
large every
one
week.
end, but on the other end, it also doesn't matter what guilds do because it's always going to be Sanctuary on Starforge.
Correct.
It's like whatever Sanctuary doesn't want to do, that's what the rest of us can possibly do.
So two things there, and I'm interested in both of your thoughts on it as well. I would do, what is it called, Galactic Conquest, the one where all of the planets show up. I would make all the planets show up every single week, because that's the only week for our guild that it's ever interesting to know, besides just us deciding based on the objectives whether we're going medium or large. The Galactic Conquest week where all the planets show up, then suddenly things get interesting for us as a guild, because we could have the potential of trying to maybe win a planet. So that's one thing. The other thing is 5 million points. Everybody's getting 5 million points right now. It's sort of boring. What if your guild makes 5 million points, you get one set of rewards. If your guild makes 15 million points, to figure out what the math is, what we're going to end up at. If your guild like really cracks down and makes this sanctuary will always get everything anyway. But if there were like tiered rewards for the guild targets, maybe that would help that as well. Total Galactic War. That's what the chat room reminds me. Total Galactic War. I think it should be Total Galactic War planets. Keep your themes or whatever, but have all of the planet, the Total Galactic, whatever we see on Total Galactic War, have all the planets show up every single week. Makes it interesting. What do you think of that, BC? The sort of the guild and the personal. We already talked about the tiers, but at the guild level, what are you seeing and thinking about there?
Yeah, I'd love to see Total Galactic War every week, with, in other words, all of the planets invadable every week, because it'd make it interesting. And then just with that one change, you would make it interesting for all the diehard players. If you go through the list of the guilds right now, all of these guilds in the large planet who are never going to beat Sanctuary, and all of the other guilds in the medium and the small guilds, all of those guilds, suddenly you've turned Conquest from something that's just going through the motions to something that's interesting and competitive, and you've reintroduced the challenge for all of those people. So I think that's a really easy change to make to keep it interesting for all those people. And if you do it every week, then it means that people can take a week off if they like, and it doesn't matter because they know that next week and the week after it's going to be back. At the moment, Total Galactic War comes up a couple times a year, and you feel all this pressure like, oh, wow, we got to make sure that we do something this week because it's not going to come around for 4 to 6 months again. If you do it every week, then people can just pick when they want to do it.
Right. And then then we could even win more planets, because you'll have guilds that, like, now when it comes up, everybody wants to go after a planet because it comes up so rarely.
But if it was weekly,
it was
there'd be more
weekly,
opportunity.
And then, which I never have considered for our guild, I would never have thought of going after the meta achievement, which is win all the planets.
Right.
It wouldn't be out of the question. I mean, maybe it would take us years, but it wouldn't be out of the question. And
right. Like right now, it's just out of the question.
Yeah. Now it's impossible. But that idea that it's not out of the question, that could be interesting. Because what if we got down to just like 2 planets left, and and then it came up the next week, and there's the planet, and dang, Sanctuary got on that planet this week, and we'd all be so angry, but we could then try it the next week. Then we could keep trying to go after Tatooine or whatever it is, or Iokath or Makeb. That would be interesting. And that would be a thing. Okay, we've talked a ton about Conquest. Let's go around real quick and see if we've exhausted that topic, and then we'll see any other closing comments on 611. I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm interested to see how it evolves. I'll continue to provide my feedback. BC, did we miss anything? Any other sort of closing thoughts on Conquest in 611 in particular?
I think we covered it. I just hope that you're able to use your direct line to the devs, Max, to persuade them to have every planet invadable every week and create tiered rewards, and everything will be great for everyone.
Where's my bat phone? I'm going to call up Keith right now. Keith? Yeah. I'm going to need you to make some changes to Conquest. Oh, you're going to get on it? Great. Good. Go. Yeah, I'm going to need you to go ahead and come in on Saturday. We're way behind on some of these changes. All right, Keith's on it. We're all set. How about you, Seema? Anything else on Conquest that we need to follow up on?
I think Total Galactic War every week is a great idea, even if it was every other week.
Yeah.
It'd be fantastic for us.
Yeah, any amount more than it currently is, because yeah, it's the only week when this really gets interesting. Yeah,
I mean,
I really thought
I
about it
just
that way in that much
I know I've been
detail.
harping on this, but I would like to know why they do what they do, because half the things they institute when they change Conquest actually hurt us as a guild. So I get it. I'm getting the message that the way we play and the way our guild is either not the target way they want the game played, or we're just such a minority in the numbers. I don't know. So I would like to hear more about that.
Yep. All right. How about on? In fact, in my head, I can't even think of what else was in 611. There were some class changes. I heard a couple of people who played Sorks, Lightning Sorks, were not very happy. Any other, like, in our last couple minutes here, any other top line feedback items for the rest of 611? Do you have anything, BC? I mean, Conquest is the only thing I've been thinking about. How about you?
They moved all of the event currencies to a legacy currency,
Oh,
which has freed up 3 slots in my legacy bank, so that was appreciated.
somebody mentioned that,
Um,
and I didn't even notice this and didn't even follow up on it. So what is the deal here? It's all Gray Helix, like here, Gray Helix
yeah,
components.
yeah, where your tech fragments are, it's just further down in that list. Completed bounty contract, Grey Helix components, Rackle, DNA canister.
And are they out of legacy storage? Did they disappear out of my legacy storage?
Yeah,
And did I not even
that's what
notice
happened to
that?
me. I have everything very well organized, so as soon as I opened my legacy storage, I immediately noticed that there were 3 blank spaces where there shouldn't have been 3 blank spaces.
What's
I
a
wish they would have done it for the the barnacle one too.
Yeah, those are some weird ones for the rat ghoul. The fungus and the barnacle and the that is weird. Oh
But
yeah, look.
progress is progress. I don't want to
Yeah,
complain.
symbiotic fungal bloom is still here, but yeah, I guess I got a couple of them here that were cleared out. That's interesting. Only not very many though, just a couple, but still, let's do it with more. I mean, I still have Internal Championship trophies in here. I have 983 snow-covered parcels. I have 36 Manon research data, 19 recovered relics, 3 Tauntaun domestication data. So it doesn't seem very much to me. 8 KDY construction kits, 222 Rackgold DNA samples. I could go on and on. I've got currencies all over the place. But still, that's a good start. I'm not gonna say it's not a good start. How about you, Seema? Anything else with 611?
Well, just the big thing is double XP.
Yeah.
The double XP event.
How's your smuggler coming?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's it's very fast. So I got to level 10 just sort of
Level
by
10?
breathing. Yeah. And then I immediately went to the fleet, right, and got my crew skills set up, and I put level 10. I had to put level 10 mods and stuff in my XP gear because I forgot I had put level 26 mods in there, so she couldn't wear it.
Ah,
And I'm too cheap to pull them all out, so she could put them on between level 1 and 10. So I went to the fleet and bought level 10 mods because it doesn't cost anything to just put them in and destroy the old ones. So
yeah.
now she has her XP gear. Now it'll be even faster.
Got it. Mine is still level 1. I did not log into it yet this week because I've been focused on Conquest and a bunch of these other things. But now,
Well, me
yeah,
too,
I
but
got to do it.
I wanted to get her to level 10 so she can get conquest points.
You know, I think it's going to be like June 10th, and I'm going to log into my level 1 smuggler and go, is double XP still on? You know that's going to be the case.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think that's a really good wrap up. I'm looking forward to missing double XP completely. But with that, I think we can kick EPC 336 out an airlock to broadcast this podcast to all of you. Keep up with us. We're heading towards May the 4th here pretty soon. I think maybe 2 podcasts from now, maybe we'll do a little something for May the 4th. No, we probably won't. We'll just forget.
No, probably not.
But with that, I certainly want to say thank you to B. Kavanaugh for joining us. Really appreciate your insight and all the work you do to run Conquest and our mandatory fun nights for us in Alea Iacta Est. So thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. Always fun.
Excellent. And everyone else, thank you, chat room, for helping us out. Thanks for being here with us again for another week of this exciting podcast. Please keep up with us on Twitter at Max the Gray and at AIESEMA and at Brendan Kavanaugh, Cavanagh on Twitter. That's where you can potentially find if he'll have a new link before long for the updated Conquest spreadsheet. We'll also be linking it in our Guild Discord, which you can get to at aie-guild.org. There's a new link button right on the main page on that aie-guild.org page that says, join our Guild Discord here. Click that. It'll dump you right in the welcome channel with some welcome notes and the ability to say, hey, I'm interested in Star Wars and any of the other divisions that we have. Please come check out our podcast. If you know anyone else who should be listening to this show, tell them to seek out this podcast on any of your favorite podcast feeds, on YouTube /New Overlords, on twitch.tv /New Overlords. Have them subscribe so we can see how many people are paying attention. They can come find our guild on Starforge on the Imperial side or the Republic side. Ask us for an AIE Guild invite because we would love to have you. And we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.